Thank you, Hannes. And it's really great to be a part of the meetup here. I will share my screen now and hope everything works out. Put it into the presentation mode and you must be able to see it a bit more clearer.
Perfect.
So while Gabby and Giovanna were presenting, I was like, oh, okay, my presentation is not going to be very colorful. I just used my zooplus slides, but at least it's a lot pet friendly. Yeah, so I don't have a huge, it's pretty much the same thing, what I'm going to be showing, but maybe I start already with a quick glimpse into my history, because when I was talking to Hannes, I also mentioned my path, how I came to being in Germany and what I went through to get to this stage. And some people find it inspiring. For me, it was a natural progression, but if it helps people with going forward, I'm always happy to share that. So I'm originally from India, so Indian origin. And yeah, so I go to the next slide. So basically, who am I? Yeah, originally from India. I had my childhood actually in Kuwait. It's a very small country next to Iraq. I spent my first 10 years there, where my basic schooling, and during the Gulf War, we all went back to India, and my parents, even though they had opportunity to go back, decided, okay, fine, it's time for them to settle down with the family. So I did my schooling and university in India. I have a degree in architecture, not software architecture, the proper building architecture. And then after my wedding, I joined my husband in Germany. And since then, I've been in Germany for the past 16 years. I have two children, both of them born here and going to school here, happily completely integrated into the German culture, and sometimes even teaching me on how to do things the German way. Yeah, quite a happy family here. How I entered into the German work culture. So 16 years ago, when I came to Germany, I did not have the language. I did not have a professional background that supported me to work here, because the moment I started looking into job opportunities as an architect, I quickly figured out language is a very important part of actually the need to work. And also the fact that my certificates, so my university certificates that were at that point in time not recognized. So I was in a bit of a dilemma as to, hey, what do I do? So the first and the foremost thing that I did was take a very intensive German course, like a 6 months integration course, where I learned the language, did everything that I had to do in order to be able to master the basics of the conversation. During the time which I had my first child, which let's just say complicated things, because at that point in time, people were not actually very open to hiring somebody with basic German skills, having a small kid to support, and also not having the right professional background. But I was determined. I was determined that I wanted to work and I wanted to find my space here. So I started off actually even with a no pay structure. So I approached an architect and said, hey, I know I have a lot of disadvantages when it comes to language and also the background. So I'm willing to actually work for free. And if you think that I'm actually able to prove my worth, then we can talk about a pay system. And this is basically how I entered. Um, in between, I also had a very quick testing job, but that was basically to see, okay, how does the German system work, and if this is something that actually works out with my way of stepping into the future. So with my architecture job, I still did not have my degree as architect because it was not recognized here. I had something called like a drawer technical, technical drawing person or something. Was not paid for the first 2 months, but then my boss actually figured out, hey, you know what, she's actually bringing quite a good value into the company, and they decided to give me a little bit of a stipend. The good part is I really learned how to speak German because my boss was not able to speak a word of English. So I was forced to speak German. It sort of helped me to the future. After 1 year, I sort of left the company because it was a little bit of frustrating for me to not be able to sign my own drawings because of lack of a license. And then while contemplating how to move forward, I I applied for everything because I didn't know what to do. And any place where I could actually figure out, okay, this is something that I could help out with or I could do, I applied to pretty much every company, and then finally got a call from an online browser game company where they were looking for practicants. And um, I spoke in German with them. The interview was in German, but at that point in time, I was lucky enough to have somebody who did the interview, who was not looking into how good my German was or what my professional background was, but looking at the motivation and this enthusiasm I presented when it came to working. And he said, you know what? This is what I want. I don't care where you're coming from, and I don't care what your background is, but it looks like you're a person who's going to do wonders. So let's try it out. And that was my first foray into a software company. And from there, I actually took steps from starting as a QA tester to taking over projects, being the project manager, the project lead. And in my last company, I spent around 9 years. And then I came over to zooplus. In zooplus, it was completely different. I mean, zooplus was, for one, a huge company. We have around 1,000 employees right now. A lot of nationalities, which I show in the next page. And there I grew, and I recognized how lucky I was to have actually quite a lot of good mentors in the past who gave me enough opportunities to actually, make me feel comfortable in my skin, not actually be, not actually feel like, oh my God, my past is actually going to bring me down. Nothing like that. So this made me reach the position that I am now, head of product development for the Munich office. And on a regular basis, I am also trying to make sure that I also give back the opportunity to anybody who's actually willing to step up, or who has this passion, or who has this need to actually go into the next steps. So keeping the time in mind, zooplus, a couple of numbers here. Hannah's already mentioned it. Zooplus is the leading online pet supplies retailer in Europe. The company was founded in 1999. Basically started in Germany, but since 2006, we expanded more and more to Europe. We have more offices across Europe. And number-wise, we have around 36 shops all around Europe, and we're still expanding. I was personally also involved in the last rollout of shops, and we are also planning the next couple of shops in the next years. Yeah, as I mentioned, 1,000 employees across 15 locations. And today when I talked to HR, he said 980, Priya. And I'm like, good, then I give 1,000. We are having 59 nationalities. I have a list, but yeah, 59 nationalities. Like Moya, our average age is also around 35 years. When we come to the proportion of male-female ratio, we are actually lucky to say 50%. Actually, there is a quite good balance, but it depends on where you look. So this chart on the bottom right shows you the blue ones are indicating the males, and the orange are for the the blue are for the females and the orange for the males. And this is my part, actually, the IT department. And there you see there is a huge domination of males. And this is where my personal work is, to make sure that we have more and more females joining or given the opportunity to join. But on the other side, on the sales and marketing, HR, we have a higher female domination. And therefore, on an average, you can see 50% is where we are at. When it comes to females in management positions, we are actually at around 42%. And here again, there is a breakdown of the female-male ratio when it comes to the different levels. So from the board level, unfortunately, we don't have any females now. We did have a CMO in the past years, but after she has left, we have not been able to get somebody on board who's female. But on the other levels, we are actually quite in a good position. In IT, though, like I said, we need to put a little bit more effort to bringing in the numbers higher. But like my HR explained today, we have a head of DNO and myself, the head of product delivery in the second and third level, who are females and non-Germans. So that's actually something that we are quite proud of. And on a regular basis, we try to make sure that we give opportunities for females to come across and actually apply for us and also feel comfortable working in zooplus. Yeah, so in terms of diversity, what do we do? Hiring, like Moy mentioned, we have also a non-gender specific filter. We give interview trainings as an interview training, and inside of that we also have a non-bias consciousness awareness set up so that when interviewing people of different nationalities, there is a level of empathy shown, and we actually try to figure out, okay, what is it that is stopping them from coming across, leaving their land, leaving their families and coming across. How can we make it much more easier for them? We support with paperwork that is necessary because, as we all know, Germany is famous for paperwork, and this is something that actually frightens quite a lot of people. But we do have enough and more support system to make sure that this paperwork is not daunting. We have a buddy system in zooplus, and in this case, not just professional, so not just basically teaching you what you need to do, but also a personal buddy system where a person who's coming from abroad, for example, is having a personal buddy who's going to show him around, explain things in Germany, what to do, how to do things, family-wise, even for the spouses. So we try to make sure that there is a personal touch when somebody from across abroad also comes into zooplus. Then we have German and English classes free of cost in the company. And if anybody wants to go beyond the basics, we also support them with budget. And we also have frequent back to basic trainings. And this I especially mention because we have a lot of cases where women after maternity find it difficult to get back because, they've missed out on a couple of years. What we try to do is if we see that the person is actually passionate and wants to actually come back, we offer them the opportunity to get trainings inside of the company so that they don't feel left out, or they don't feel the need to now find a training somewhere, manage children, all of these things. So this is a small thing that we do, but actually makes a big impact on people feeling comfortable back and not feeling different from the rest of the others. We have culture days. So once a month before COVID, actually, we used to have once every quarter, definitely. And if we actually had people for that culture day, so for example, Indian Day, where the Indians used to come dressed up in different attires, cooked different Indian food, presented everything about India in a presentation, had like some Q&As and quizzes and all of this. And this used to be for the whole group there, everybody who was interested to join. And we were able to actually cover quite a lot of nationalities with that. And now, since it's online, it's difficult if you don't get the food and the drinks with that. But we still try to do some parts of it online, and we are actually bringing it back because we plan to come back to the office more or less completely soon. Then gender salary gap. Proud to say that females don't get less than males. And as a part of this is also one part of my job, and we've never actually categorize females or males when it comes to IT especially. We just look into the seniority, the professionalism, the achievements, and then we look at the salary. We've never had the discussion as to she's a female or she was not here for a long time or nothing like that. So this is something where zooplus is actually quite awesome at. There has never been a situation where why does he get more than I do? So that's something there. And even with pre-COVID times, flexibility was a huge topic for us. Our core hours are actually just 4 hours or so in the day. The rest of the time is something that the employees can manage all by themselves. And we've made specialized cases for people. When parents tell, hey, they would like to collect their children early, so they might not be able to stay 8 hours, we had special conditions saying, you know what, just go home, get your child, settle down, and if you want, finish your work later. Or, you know what, let's try to figure out a balance in which you are able to work and actually have a home life without having the feel to having the need to, sort of sacrifice something. And this has also been something that our employees are super happy about, the fact that they don't have to sacrifice anything in order to take part in one or the other. What are we doing now? So there has been a lot of talk about diversity, and we're doing a little bit of things here and there, but finally we came together last year and said, okay, we need to actually have an official diversity group where we focus on things, where we maybe officialize things, where we make people aware of the fact that this is super important, and they can come across to us and say, hey, I'm in the situation, I need help. So we formed a diversity group, and we have 4 pillars, okay, as you can see on the right, where they're talking about the cultural background or the geographical background, women and zooplus, of course, for the pride of the zoo, which also concerns the LGBTQ plus, and also for the age and disability. And this is actually a screenshot of our wiki, where we also have the option for anybody and everybody to request membership. We also keep it, let's just say, it's if people would like to remain confidential about their situation, we also make sure that they have that. And each of these 4 groups have their own sessions regularly, and in together we also try to make sure that our events are publicized so that anybody and everybody can take part in this. As a start, we made a diversity survey just to make sure that everybody is aware of this, and also we collected the data as to what do you think about diversity and where do you think zooplus stands when it comes to diversity, and also what are some suggestions we could do better. A couple of things we did the last months were having Women's Day webinar. We had external come in to talk about the importance of equality and importance of giving women the chance to also rise up. Had webinars on diversity, a couple of them, and we also did a celebration of the Pride Month. What we are also now planning to do, this is something also what the vice president of the HR told me, that usually what happens is when somebody goes on maternity leave and there is a race coming up in the session of race, we sort of take them out because they've not been here. Why do you want to give them a race? What happens is when these women come back after 2 or 3 years, they have a huge gap, and they're struggling to ask for something, and but they feel bad about it and they leave quickly. So this is what we're trying to, and this is what we're doing now. Anybody who's off on maternity leave, they deserve the same as the others. Okay, we're not going to talk about 10%, but they get the hikes that they deserve so that when they're back, they're actually able to be in par with the rest of their team members. They don't feel like left out. They don't feel the need to leave the company and go someplace else, because this is a person we value, and the person also needs to be safe and also needs to feel valued in the company. So that's why this is a small thing, but impactful thing that we're doing. We're looking for fast track agencies to speed up the work permits, because the amount of months that the person has to wait after being hired is also something we try to reduce. We are also talking to a couple of relocation and immigration agencies to make sure that it's not just a paperwork with support, but also with finding apartments, finding schools, kindergartens, finding a good location, even supporting the spouses with the necessary paperwork. All of these things can be done by us, so that a person coming in should just think about moving to a country that's actually opening them with welcome arms. Diversity is included in the onboarding sessions, so that people feel that they have already been included into zooplus, and also see the faces of people who are in charge and can approach them privately or in the forum. For the age and disability in zooplus, we are now completely rearranging zooplus, and there we're trying to make sure that the accessibility is also quite an important feature there. And to make sure that everybody has a chance, we are offering more and more part-time positions, so that families, or if ladies or men who would like to spend more time with their families, don't have to actually look or compromise or sacrifice their times, and have the best of both worlds. Yeah, I think that was it pretty much. If I time-wise was able to keep up with that.